Welcome to this laid-back Let's Play of Star Wars The Old Republic. My name is Rich, and we are continuing on Voss. We're in Voss Car. We finished up some stuff in the Nightmare Lands. And now we need to go and tell the Voss about how they're actually related to the Gormak, which isn't going to go down very well, as I understand it, because neither side likes the other at all. They've been at war for a long time. And I'm not convinced that the two are sufficiently similar, like physically. Oh, right. Yes. Okay. Across bridge, and then down into ravine, because that's where the thing is. But I do need to cross the bridge so I can get down into the ravine, either by following the path or by jumping, because there's actually more ravine here that would prevent me. I discovered this before, didn't I? There's extra ravine along here. Like that. That would make it impossible to jump from this side, because you wouldn't be able to clear it. Shame flight and super jumping and stuff aren't possible in the game, despite there being evidence for such things. I mean, enemies will use jump packs occasionally, particularly on Coruscant, that I recall. They'll use jump packs to get up onto like walkways or drop down from above somewhere to come in and surprise you and attack you. If you attack two dudes, a couple more will jump in from somewhere. Often after you've finished off the first two. Because they're pretty weak. But, so like, that stuff exists in the game, but it's not accessible to players, because giving players jump packs would break the game somehow, I guess. I don't know. Not convinced that would be the case either, to be honest, but there we are.
You return from the Nightmare Lands. We will waste no time. The three wish to hear your report directly. I will contact them.
Ooh.
This is a great honor for the Republic. I hope you've brought good news.
Well, kind of.
Sanvi, Guntamer, Nenji. The three.
So you were the outsider the Mystics saw.
You exposed Lord Beldis. You completed the Mystics' trials.
You defeated Jokul. We did not expect so much.
The Gormak consider us Voss too. They're a threat to us both.
You speak the truth. We hope you know more.
Jokul saw the future. Another Gormak visionary could bring our destruction. This cannot be allowed. You walked Jokul's path. Tell us, how did the Gormak king receive his visions?
Yeah, funny thing about that. As it turns out, the Gormak and Voss are one.
Gormak are also capable of having visions. You're one people that split centuries ago. You're fighting a civil war that's corrupting all of Voss. You'll destroy yourselves. You have to make peace.
Impossible! Unthinkable!
You link us to all that is horror.
The Gormak have waged war on the Voss for centuries. Do you realize what you're asking?
Unless you stop fighting, the darkness this war has created will consume Voss.
The darkness has always been. Nothing will change.
You forget the Mystic's vision. An outsider will end the Gormak threat. By sharing this truth, the Gormak become Voss. A threat no longer.
All else has happened as seen. We cannot deny Mystic's vision.
Then, it is possible. The Gormak may be our brothers. Everything must change.
Is there anything I can do to help?
You braved the Dark Heart. That is enough.
A Voss does not kill a Voss. All action against the Gormak will be suspended, if we can make them understand. You ask us to join your war. The Voss cannot aid you now.
We understand. The Republic only wishes you the best of luck in your efforts.
There is much to be done. We take our leave.
Yeah, getting the Voss to
You put
agree.
the Voss before your own.
Not the Voss,
This
the
could
Gormak.
not have been easy.
Getting the Gormak to agree, because the Gormak consider the Voss some kind of heretic somehow. It's not really been made clear. So getting them to understand and agree is going to be the difficult bit. The Voss seem weirdly capable of accepting and understanding this stuff.
I had no right to tell the Voss anything but the truth.
You could have lied. You did not.
There's no chance of a Republic alliance, but there's no chance of an Imperial one either. All things considered, we did well.
The Republic has done much for Voss. This will be remembered. Your part in this has ended, outsider. You have our thanks.
Alright, okay, so apparently this is the end of Adventures on Voss. Well, once I've handed the other stuff in over in the other place. It's weird though, because on planets, I mean, this is a contested planet, which means that both Republic and Empire can both, well, are both running around on it at the same time. But on other contested planets, there hasn't been the ability to go out to points like this. Like there aren't points on Alderaan in the north, for example, as I mentioned before, or on Tatooine in the south. There are sections of the planet that just don't have points like this that you can jump to, and as such, I'm really confused, because the presence of these points, these taxi points, suggests to me that there's stuff to do out there, because you're expected to be able to get out there. But everything that we've just heard has sounded a lot like, you know, the end of our adventures on Voss. And I have no idea where we'll be going next. I don't think it's Corellia. We're not quite the right level for Corellia yet, because that's like the end of the first, you know, lot of stuff on Old Republic. Is it Ilum? Well, there is. No, it's 50 to 50, so it's kind of right. Oh no, that's not what I wanted to do. Galactic map. Go to Rishi. Okay, so that's going to be later. Not doing that yet. Huh, 47 to 50. Maybe it is Corellia next. And then Ilum. What's Dantooine? Seat of the Empire. Isn't... I've got nothing to do there, well, no level guide. Amazed we can even see it. But isn't... It's weird that Dantooine is called the seat of the Empire when Drummond Kars is the capital planet. Also 70 to 70, alright. Not going to be going there anytime soon. Mek Shah, 74, 75. Wow, that's... Oh, it's an asteroid. Weird place. Okay. I don't really feel like clicking on all of these at random. 55 to 55. Right. I'm not really sure what these indicate. Is it just an easy way to navigate through? There's nothing here except Odessan. Alright, anyway. Seems like it probably will be Corellia next. And then Ilum. Is this, go to the Three's chambers. So we're going to be talking directly with the Three. Deep Cradle, Dark Heart. What were we doing with this? Gate and Co. Right. New Visionary. Cause for celebration on Voss. Want to ordain him and see the vision he's seen. Okay. Ooh. Only the consular gets to come in and into the presence of the Three, even though you have just spoken to them.
Welcome, Jedi. I am Sun V of the Three. This is a joyous day.
The interpreters speak. Gaiden Ko's vision is genuine.
Gaiden Ko, we ordain you mystic. Be always wise.
Hi, welcome, Shaman Boy. Very strange that some of those planets are visible to you now as they're in the expansions, but some expansion planets are not visible. Yeah, I mean, I haven't... This is as far as I've played in the game, so I don't know what I should be able to see and what I shouldn't. But it might just be that the requirements for being able to see some of those planets are being the correct level, whereas the requirements for other planets are story-related. Story gates. But good to know that there'll be even more planets, because I was feeling like... I mean, it does look quite cluttered. Like, it looks like there's quite a lot there, but when you actually zoom in, particularly on that far leftmost region of space, it actually seems as though it's a bit underpopulated for planets, because as far as I can tell, the galaxy far, far away is like lousy with inhabitable planets. You can't go a few parsecs without tripping over some, apparently. The far leftmost region will fill up later. Alright, cool. Yeah, I was thinking there's one planet in this whole place. That looks a bit empty. So, it's good to know that there'll be more there later.
You've learned well, and grown up a little too.
I needed your guidance.
Gaiden Ko's entourage grows. Interpreters await. Healers travel from the shrine. Jen Arce volunteers to lead his guardians.
Is he going to be a companion?
These guardians attend to his safety?
Yes, a commando escort.
Gaiden Ko's vision remains.
The interpreters speak. Gaiden Ko's vision is clear, unusually so. He must see your force. Both sides. He cannot learn here. Gaiden Ko must travel with you.
Ah, I thought so.
If he is willing, Gaiden Ko is certainly welcome aboard my ship.
I will see the galaxy that made you.
We gain a mystic, now lose him to the outsiders.
I am not lost. The Jedi show kindness, patience, generosity. We should learn. Consider allying with the Republic.
I expect that something very similar happens on the Empire side of things. It would surprise me if they didn't keep it even, with the Empire gaining a Voss as well. Or do you want to bet that it's a female Voss and thus a red one, rather than a blue one who goes to the Republic? Got to keep things color-coded in the galaxy far, far away. I wonder who gets... It's probably the Sith Sorcerer. That's the equivalent of the Consular. At least throughout the Empire. Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that, are they?
The Republic would provide whatever you need to expand.
We will consider it, Gaten Co.
Carry Voss with you. Always.
I shall. Please, I must greet my entourage. Call when we leave.
Ship's airlock on Voss. My ship doesn't land on Voss. I came down by shuttle. I won't spoil it, but there is definitely a lot of politics happening in the Sith Inquisitor story as well. Good to know. I've been playing Bounty Hunter and quite enjoying that. Although I do wish that I'd be able to get some less barbarian looking armor. The armor I've got at the moment looks like the stuff that Lando was wearing in Jabba the Hutt's palace, so like kind of a shell-shaped helmet with a mask with bone bits on it. And so I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to here and just go up to those regions in the north, the Palau 3 marches, just these two locations, and see whether there are any quests up there. Because it feels weird to me that there'd be... I mean, as I said earlier, that it feels weird that there'd be taxi points, but no quests. Like, why would they bother putting in taxi points if there wasn't anything for us to do up there?
Plants are currently open for business.
I also kind of feel like it's weird that heavy armor would have capes and cloaks. Like, long coats I can get behind, aesthetically speaking, on like the Bounty Hunter or the Commando or the Trooper rather. Yeah, the random drop in story reward gear for the Bounty Hunter isn't especially great. It does improve toward the end, fortunately. Oh, that's good to know. Yeah, I was imagining that I'd at least be able to craft some decent looking, heavy armor that looks, I mean, not necessarily precisely Mandalorian, but if I could make my Bounty Hunter look like a Mandalorian, then I'd be pretty happy. But at the moment, it's not really inspiring me very much. Particularly, as I said, cloaks on people with blasters just look wrong aesthetically. Oh, there are missions up here. Okay. I thought there would be. Let's just stick about up here for a little while. Like, cloaks on Jedi, I can understand. But people with blasters, I don't think should really be in cloaks. Efre Koanai, who was the poor Nautilin who got marooned in the Dark Forest. Pre-level 50 gear for the Bounty Hunter follows a very strange aesthetic from the launch era when they hadn't fully figured out what Old Republic Mandalorians should look like. Okay. Good to know. Interesting little tidbit. At this point, charting the way that the design aesthetic has changed would be very difficult because we're like 7 years in. Or no, 10 years in, 7 expansions in. Do you remember me? Lefrey from Dr. Kerrian's expedition on Voss? I suppose you wouldn't. I looked you up when I finally got home, and wow, if I'd known who you were when we met, I'd have been more scared of you than the woods. Maybe. Probably not. Of course I remember him. I only spoke to him a few days ago. Last stream. And he talked extensively whilst we babysat him and made him feel safe. At least I got to salvage some of poor Dr. Kerrian's work. I'm back at the university on Rendili putting it all together. Did you know that the ancient Voss may have actually invented a primitive form of energy manipulation using polished crystalline mirrors? It's true. I'm going to try recreating the apparatus for my thesis. I'm sure you'll want to see it when it's done. That does sound cool. So what heroic is this? Cyber mercenaries. Attention outsiders and potential allies. Dangerous mercenaries have allied with the Gormak. They trade combat training for Gormak weapons and cybernetic upgrades. I feel very hesitant as a mercenary coming to Voss, trading cybernetic implants with the Gormak, because the Gormak have not conducted any tests on any species besides their own for integrating cybernetics. Like just brazenly plugging new cybernetics from species that haven't studied you into your body sounds like a recipe for tearing your body apart from the inside out. The mercenaries slaughtered several Voss commando units sent to break the alliance. Eliminate the cyber mercenaries and material rewards will be granted. Okay, sounds great. Where's the person with the mission? Oh, there. Yeah, the Varanticus probably look impressive from the outside, but if you've been in the business ends of an angry Varanticus' fists, then you'd probably quite quickly not decide to describe them as beautiful. Brazenly plugging in unknown implants is very Warhammer 40k-like. It is, well, certainly very Mechanicus. I don't think that the Imperial Guard or the Space Marines would just pick up random bits of unknown implant and, Lego brick them on. They're unless you're in the Mechanicus and you're a bit of a tech heretic, they're quite purist about what they will and will not use and allow. Or I suppose, like, rogue traders probably get random bits of cybernetics of unknown provenance. Maybe alien, maybe not. We're not asking questions, because if we ask questions, we might have to turn it over to the Inquisition. So I suppose rogue traders probably end up with interesting cybernetic implants as well. But even there, like, yeah, not in the Imperium, but maybe Traitor Legions or Dark Mechanicum. Yeah. Although Traitor Legions are probably less plugging in cybernetics and more plugging in demon parts. Like, oh, I've found this demon tentacle off of a demon that I had a fight/drink/orgy with, perhaps all in the same evening. I've decided to cut off my arm and insert this tentacle instead, just for shits and giggles.
Forcing animals to be their war machines. This will be a dark chapter in Gormak history.
Guahulo venezip, un calajero rarutus. Quella unta mantalu, quella cansu urisato, fetuel ud.
Some very naughty heretical inquisitors. Yeah. Yeah, nobody orthodox will be going around picking up alien or unknown implants, basically, is where we're going with this.
I'm not looking to die just yet.
Goal guevs segutana, ta serugawa, mohet magruf.
Just don't smell too tasty, alright.
Ukanadia uts afana ahar gueva.
I shall endeavour not to smell good to a Verentikai, a species that we haven't seen before because we've not been allowed on Voss, and as such haven't studied, so we have no idea what it is that they find delicious. But yeah, like, even in the 40k universe, if you're a rogue trader or a heretic Mechanicus weirdo who gets a little bit too interested in toasters, the weird alien implants, for the most part, are fairly well known. I mean, the fluff likes to play up that the Inquisition keep tripping over strange, never seen before alien artifacts and aliens and stuff, but that's not really ever reflected in the fluff or in the like the game. We've got our set factions and species, and there aren't any rules in place really to allow you to come up with your own alien species from this one weirdo planet that's just been discovered or rediscovered after the dark age of technology. So in the actual rules, it's not really reflected that you come across unknown alien species and civilizations and technology all that often. Like, it feels like it's a pretty established known set of variables. Like, unlike here, where maybe people knew about the Voss and the Gormak, but they've not really been allowed on the planet until recently. So there would have been less testing for, you know, can we safely integrate these cybernetics into our bodies? This is all new information for me, as I've never played or read the rule books, just interested in 40k lore. I know, I guess I know more about 40k than you do, but I'm also not really like a rulebook reader. I know what the factions are, and I could hazard some guesses at their playstyle, but I haven't read the most recent rulebooks. The most recent of the 40k rulebooks that I've pored over and read cover to cover almost is the 3rd edition, and we're on the 9th at the moment. The 3rd edition is from about 20 years ago. And to be perfectly honest, because of the Games Workshop's practices with paying their employees and interfacing with fans and the fan community, I am not putting any effort into finding out more about 40k stuff and, well, Games Workshop stuff. But yeah, there are definitely no rules in any edition, except perhaps first or second, since I haven't read any of those, and they are early enough that they were still working out the feel of the setting and what they wanted to do. Early 40k stuff is very much more tongue-in-cheek and comedy. Like there's official art from earlier editions of, for example, Space Marines dancing with one another with roses between their teeth. Specifically, it's Dark Angels, which, if you know anything at all about Dark Angels, shouldn't surprise you. But yeah, most recently, there are no rules in any Games Workshop books for creating your own faction, essentially. I'm not keen on supporting GW either. Fortunate at reading the fan wikis and enjoying YouTube content doesn't pay a penny to GW. Indeed not, which I'm perfectly happy to do. There are a few YouTubers who I enjoy who do Games Workshop stuff. And of course I like looking at the miniatures. That's a big part of the reason I like the hobby. So seeing other people's creativity come out in like paint schemes and conversions and stuff is a big part of my enjoyment of Games Workshop stuff, and it's not really related to Games Workshop at all, other than providing the minis. I mean, I suppose what you could do if you really wanted to is use minis from another game and say that they're a species that hasn't been seen in the 40k galaxy yet, and just play with the rules for an existing faction, just with different minis, so that you can say, you know, yeah, these play like Imperial Guard, but actually they're Squidmen, or whatever, if you can find Squidman minis. But it's definitely not like in the Star Wars galaxy, where you're basically just tripping over new species all the time. Or, well, not new species, but different species all the time. Largely, I think, because in 40k, the Empire has spent like about 10,000 years, probably more, just going around and being xenocidal and eradicating as many non-human species as they can possibly manage. So maybe during the Dark Age of technology and before humanity's rise, the 40k galaxy looked a lot like the Star Wars galaxy in terms of demographics of aliens, and it's only, you know, humans coming along and being xenocidal maniacs that has stopped it looking like that anymore. Which is a real shame. I used to enjoy the grimdark nature of 40k, but I've been finding it really tiresome of late. I still like the factions and kind of enjoy the setting, but like grimdark is not really my thing anymore. It was when I was a teenager, as you may be unsurprised to learn, but not really anymore. Yeah, it's not a surprise that 40k is not very diverse with the species, considering the Empire's whole thing is murder everything that isn't human. And yeah, like, not even just murder everything that isn't human, it's murder everything that isn't human that follows exactly what we say when we say it, because nonconformists might bring the taint of chaos. Nonconformity is very dangerous to uber-fascist organizations like the Empire in 40k. Stop shooting me! Shoot the tank! He's the one generating all the threat. Or he should be. Stop it! Been playing many of my other characters as tank specs, just to test out the idea that maybe it's easier to play the game if you're playing as a tank and your companion is DPS or heal. And I can't really tell. The combat goes quicker, you may be unsurprised to learn, if you're playing as a DPS. But it can feel unsatisfying if you're plugging away using abilities and your companion does way more damage than you. I also feel like it's really weird that of the blaster classes I've played, the bounty hunter and the trooper, well, I mean, they're basically the same class after all, but the bounty hunter and the little bit of smuggler that I've played, they all engage at about 10 feet. Like, they've got blaster abilities that go out to 30 feet, but for the most part, blaster classes seem to want to be in melee range, which just kind of feels wrong. Maybe I mean, you would hope that the sniper spec for... Oh, not spec, but class, advanced class for the... Oh, hey, that's got an interactable object on it. You would hope that the sniper advanced class for the operative would operate at long range, and maybe the heavy cannon trooper and a bounty hunter class is also longer ranged. But yeah, it feels really weird that if you've got a rifle length blaster, you're supposed to be engaging at about 10 feet. I read an interesting fan theory a few months ago about Star Wars and 40k happening in the same universe. It was really well thought out until they got to the part about Rakata turning into Necrons. But before that, it was almost a plausible theory. Yeah, the Rakata definitely aren't Necrons, because that's absolutely not workable. The Rakata look completely different from Necrons. They're kind of... I mean, I don't know to tell you, but they've got, like, eyes on pods out the sides of their heads. And you could probably use bits from various sprues to make Necrons that look like that, if you had a mind to. But they don't come like that out of the box. I also feel like the Force and the Warp are not anything like comparable enough. There are some similar elements between the Warp and the Force, I guess, but the Warp is very, very... like, the Warp is as though the Force had been entirely taken over by the dark side. There's not a drop of light side left in the Force. And also it's full of corporeal creatures now. Or creatures that can manifest as corporeal things. Yeah, that's the thing. They didn't look alike, and the lore is not similar in the least. Yeah, no. What could be possible is the warp in the galaxy in 40k is just localized to that galaxy. Or that kind of region. I mean, it would be weird if the warp was like that throughout the entirety of the universe. The theory was something along dark side fuckery transformed the living force into the warp. I mean, even if that were the case, the force is not full of demons that can manifest and possess people. And you can't, like, tear a hole into the force and walk around in it as a corporeal being. Even if you don't have, well, whether you have force attunement or not. So in that way, they don't really fit together at all. Like, the force and the warp only look like they're close enough to maybe be the same thing if you don't really know anything about either of them. Like, if you've maybe played a few Star Wars games and not really paid any attention to what they've had to say about the way that the Force works, and you've heard people talking about 40k but never actually read any of the fluff or the rule books or the expanded universe stuff, you might think that the Force and the Warp are close enough that they could be the same thing with some evil shenanigans. Yeah, that's true. The Force isn't a sort of plane of reality. Yeah, no. You know, it's interesting looking at the development of like the mythological and folklore roots for magic and the supernatural and spirits and stuff, and seeing how that has developed into magic as it looks now. And also, like, how spirituality and the supernatural kind of are across the Earth, because, like, Star Wars and the Force, specifically, are very heavily based on Eastern mythology and cosmology, and, like, the Force and how the Jedi use it is pretty transparently Taoist. Like, I don't think that Lucas ever even tries to hide it, but there's bits of Buddhism mixed in, and a bit of Confucianism, but it's very, very Eastern religion, Far East religion. In Star Wars. And I don't really know much about I don't know as much as I would need to about Eastern religions and, like, cosmology and the way that they thought hundreds of years ago the world worked, to be able to say, but I don't think they've got any kind of spirit world that humans can visit. Like, they've got places that the dead go to after life, but it's not really in the same continuum. Where I'm going with this is, I did a stupid with that statement. One of the storylines in SWTOR does introduce us to the concept of force walking within the Force itself to talk to ghosts. But do you do that as your physical body, or in your physical body, or do you do that by astral projecting? Because there's a place here, up here, where you can find a stone, a Voss stone, and you meditate in front of it, and it transports you to kind of a spirit world. but I'm pretty sure that that's supposed to be interpreted as you're astral projecting into that space, not teleporting there somehow. But basically where I'm going, or where I'm trying to go eventually, is... come over here so I can loot this as well. Good. Go get me, Kaizen. In European folklore, there's an other world. There's a spirit world. There are different realms, and you can go there if you know how. There are specific locations. Well, pre-Victorian folklore, you could get to the spirit world either by entering like burial mounds or by crossing boundaries. Basically, there were locations in the physical world that you could go to and accidentally or deliberately find yourself in the other world, which is where spirits come from and the dead go to, which is basically where the idea of the warp comes from, like a plane of reality that you can visit and from which great powers come. And I don't know enough about Eastern mythology to say whether the same is the case for them or not as well. And I don't think that it is. I don't think that mortals do any visiting to any other worlds. Like maybe specific individuals who are unique and remarkable in Eastern myths do visit the other world, like the being who represents the moon gets a lover, and sometimes mortals fall in love with spirits and like daughters of otherworld emperors and stuff in Eastern myths, but like you don't get stories like Rip Van Winkle where it just kind of happens by accident in the East, as far as I know. Well, as far as I know, and I'm not particularly knowledgeable about Eastern mythology. But basically where I'm going with this is that I'm not sure that the mythology on which Star Wars is based has the internal basis for a visitable other plane like Western mythology does. It's more astral projection than teleporting between realms. I thought so. I mean, I'm not an expert on the lore of Star Wars either, but from what I've gathered in Star Wars, the Force does overlap and overlay the physical world, but it's not its own separate plane. It's not somewhere that you can like open a portal to and visit. You don't really get technology that draws from the Force either. It seems to be that for use of the Force in Star Wars, you have to be a living being, which is a large part of the reason why droids get such a raw deal, because they are incapable of drawing from the Force, as far as I can tell. And of course, anything that happens in a game like this, where your character interacts with the Force, meditates deeply, and appears somewhere else that looks mystical is... In a game, you have to have a physical location that your character can visit, unless you're telling the story partially through prose within the game, or like, you know, text. Like the screen goes black and then the text says your character feels these things. That's generally quite poor game design. Good game design is having your character that you interface the game with whom you interface the game, doing a thing that makes the player feel something. Oh, I've done enough of that apparently. So the mercenaries are at least submerged in colto tanks, which is probably helping them heal after being implanted with cybernetics, but there would still need to be, I think, extensive testing with the cybernetics from the Gormak on each individual species. Like, the body tolerances of Twi'leks, for example, probably aren't the same as Togruta or Trandoshan or human. So each species that you want to implant new cybernetics into would have to have its own testing process. And I imagine that's just what happens as standard for cybernetics in the Star Wars universe. And maybe some cybernetics manufacturers just don't bother making cybernetics for some species. Like, maybe they just don't bother with Rhodians or Gamorreans or whatever. Like, they just... We're not going to serve them. We're not going to bother making it possible for this entire species, this entire market, to use our products. The Older Lore stuff does touch on that a little bit. Rakata and Qua technology did draw from the Force directly, and the Qua had portals that let them move through the galaxy quickly by walking through the Force. Interesting. Interesting. I have been wondering about the feasibility of crossing over Star Wars and Stargate. I really like crossovers, and I'm a major sucker for them. So I've been trying to work out, you know, not trying. Occasionally I wonder which settings it would be possible to cross over and which wouldn't, because their rules are too different. For example, I really don't think that Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings is something you can cross over, because the cosmologies of the two settings are too different. The way that magic works in each is not really compatible. But I do wonder whether Stargate and Star Wars would be possible, because it would be really interesting to bring Stargate technology, like taming wormholes that you can create at will, to a setting like this. Like, you can't take capital ships through Stargate wormholes unless you build absolutely gigantic Stargates. But you would be able to put Stargates down on most worlds, and enable people to traverse from one planet to another without having to go through hyperspace. So I guess the older lore Force is closer to the warp than the new lore Force. Yeah, that's also a case worth considering, isn't it? That over the... So when did Star Wars come out? 77, wasn't it? Or the late 70s, the end of the 70s, like either 77 or 79. I don't remember which. 70... It's a little more than 40 years that Star Wars has been going on. And and having its lore added to and developed and so on. And that's 40 years for the setting to change and the rules to change a bit, and also for the design philosophy to change. And Warhammer is not that much younger. I think Warhammer started in the early 80s. It began with Rogue Trader, and well, maybe Rogue Trader is 87 actually. So maybe 10 years later, so about 30 years? And I know that Warhammer's design and aesthetic has changed over time, because I know that early Warhammer was much more lighthearted than it is now. Like Space Marines and other creatures were much more jokey. I mean, they had squats and rattlings that were basically just rattlings are space hobbits, and squats are space dwarves. And the squat design aesthetic used to be bikers in space, but the design aesthetic of 40k moved away from that to the point where every time in the last like 20 years, I want to say, people have asked about when are squats coming back. The Games Workshop people have been like, well, they don't really fit anymore. So we're probably not going to do it, which is a shame, because I feel like the 40k universe could do with a bit of lightening up. Though there's that whole theory about the Force becoming weaker as the story progresses in Star Wars, explaining why someone like Palpatine, who would be a medium-strong Sith during the Old Republic, is the strongest possible dark side user in his era. I mean, that is one way of doing it. I suppose that is a what's only an explanation, isn't it? The Doyle explanation for that, of course, is that there was no consistency about writing the relative strength of Force users across the 40 plus years of Star Wars expanded universe writing. To have consistent power levels across that much time is, I think, probably almost impossible for a single writer, but for all the various different writers that they've had in the various different kinds of media that they've had, that is all Star Wars, it would be more surprising if they had managed to keep a consistent power level and like power sort of spectrum for Star Wars. Defeat leader. Didn't we just we defeat a captain? I guess he wasn't the leader. Defeat the cyber leader. Is he more machine than man? No, he's a Twi'lek. Which kind of precludes him from being a man, given that man implies humanity. But yeah, in 40k there are, strange, ancient technologies that can rip open holes into the warp. I think occasionally they talk about grenades that can briefly open holes into the warp. So you know, you've got in 40k you've got grenades. Technology simple enough to fit into a grenade that can interface with the warp. But in Star Trek, I'm not talking about Star Trek. In Star Wars, any technology that they might want to try and use to interface with the Force has to be like enormous, like room-sized. And if it's room-sized, then it's remarkably compact. Oh, I've been going through this without my buffs. Is it just me, or... So this is a force speed, increased movement speed. For 150%. That is quite noticeable. The non-force user speed boosts seem mostly about removing mobility impairment effects, but they do say increase movement speed by 30%, and it never feels like there's a speed boost when I use the equivalent abilities on tech users. Like the visual goes off, and probably the movement impairment kicks in, although I've never actually thought to, because I'm not really a very good player of the game, to be honest. I'm not really on my toes when it comes to all the different effects and how to effectively counter them. Occasionally I will just forget about abilities that my class has and not use them. So I've never really used the movement freeing abilities on tech using classes whilst actually affected by movement impairment effects. So I don't know, but I assume that it helps. The game, people would be pretty upset if the powers said that they helped with movement impairment and didn't. That's true. The lore does kind of explain it as well, since a lot of information on dark side abilities would probably disappear during the generations, as there's only ever 2 true Sith during the Rule of 2 era, which is about 2,000 years. Yeah, there is that as well. Like, even now, 3,000 years before the events of the films, the game setting is about 3,000 years before the events of the films. Even now, we're turning up long lost, forgotten Force techniques. So, like, people learn stuff and then it gets lost because of the effects of war, like because of the friction between the Jedi and the Sith. Like, they keep learning new stuff or developing new techniques and then losing it, or like refinding old techniques and it lasting only a little while and then being lost again. So I imagine that by the point of the films, or certainly the prequels, during the Rule of 2 era, a lot of Force techniques, particularly dark Force techniques, will have been lost. The removes movement impairing effects thing certainly does work, but it really only comes up in more difficult content. Yeah, I imagine, like, if I felt like my movement being impaired during regular play was that big of an issue, I think I'd learn to use the movement freeing abilities more than I do. But considering that it doesn't really matter if you get slowed for a bit during one fight. I don't care enough to want to stop it. Like, I make regular use of Force of Will and the other equivalent abilities, just because I don't like being stuck for 10-15 seconds by a control ability. But yeah, movement slowing doesn't really affect regular play all that much. Ooh. I mean, I'm already past this being useful, but how many of these am I supposed to free? Oh, 5 left. But there's a bonus objective which I do kind of want to accomplish. Oh wow. It's not the Vorenticus, it's the Gormak Creature Masters that I need to go after. Jeez, alright. Way to make this arbitrarily more difficult. But yeah, in your experience, Shaman Boy... Oh, you have to hop off. It's late here. Okay, fair enough. No worries. Thanks for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed. This will be going up on my YouTube, Vanilla Jester Gaming. So if you want to see the rest, if you feel you have a burning desire to watch the rest later, then you can do. But I appreciate you coming by, and I hope you have a good sleep, I guess. Yeah, I definitely feel it's weird that so-called ranged classes, like the power tech for the trooper, or the whatever the bounty hunter one is, that's the equivalent, where you use a rifle. I haven't tried out every spec for the rifle class, but it definitely feels weird that you've got a rifle but you're engaging at 10 feet for the most part, or melee range. Like, I get that it's supposed to feel like you're an operator and you're like special forces and you're engaging in the kind of fights where close quarter combat happens more often than not. Like, you're doing really close quarter work, but that's not actually what missions in the game have you end up doing a lot of the time. Like, you're out in the open a lot, and you're in long or wide corridors or big rooms where you could engage your enemies at 30 feet. But none of your abilities, other than like the one beginning power that you get, actually goes off at 25 or 30 feet, or however long it is. Like, clearly your rifle can shoot that far. the technology is, or it's not most of the technology. There are other random abilities, like shooting jolts of electricity or plasma or other stuff. No, that's probably not the one we want, is it? I mean, let's take him out anyway. Gormak Defiler. He might be a later objective, just realised. He's getting very close. No, that didn't count. It's almost the same, just I'd have more endurance at the expense of mastery and power, which I don't think I want to bother with. I'm just saying that it would be nice for the blaster classes to have longer ranged options, given that, or more long ranged options, given that having a blaster is kind of the thing that should let you use make attacks at range. It's kind of weird that there's a force user who can attack at range like this, because usually in games they don't bother, despite the lore supporting long-range force attacks as a concept. I suppose, in fairness, I probably should play every blaster class and every spec just to actually get a proper idea of which classes and specs can play at longer range. And it probably shouldn't surprise me that the tanks, none of the tanks can play at range. It's very rare that a game will let you tank at range. I guess the design philosophy is probably that if you're playing a tank you shouldn't need to be at range, because most enemies will come at and stand right on top of you. And maybe there's balance issues where being able to
Report your ailments.
use threat generating abilities at longer range is considered
You are fit for duty. Return to your post.
unsporting or overpowered somehow. Oh yeah.
Wensa, Junun Kula Huru, Zevratin Kula Hu Sujufu. I used to get Chantoku, Galgunda Utake.
Stand by for examination and suggested products.
There is a box to open. That's nice. Claim that, and I don't think I need that, do I? eligible for this conversation. Okay. So why is it glowing blue then? Ambassador Janik, stirred up. It's quite a lot of credits. Careful, the political situation in Voskar is like a red-hot sand wasp hollow. Senior Voss commandos are being called back for consultations about the Gormak. Every mystic not in seclusion is being asked for advice. You took thousands of years of Voss culture and gave it a good shake. I can't imagine what it's going to look like once things settle down. But I want to be here to see. I still can't believe the Voss and the Gormak share a common origin. Neither can they, I imagine. One thing's certain, we're not getting any Voss allies anytime soon. For what it's worth, I think you did the right thing by telling them. My superiors might not agree, but they don't know the Voss like I do. We're going to help them work this out, and someday there'll be a place for them in the Republic. Goodo. And we do have a Voss coming and hanging out with us.
Welcome. Please select an available travel route. Have a safe and pleasant stay.
Even if he... Well, I mean, you would hope that he'd be able to contribute to the war effort. I'm not entirely sure what's supposed to be happening, like, in-universe with all your companions. Do they all come out onto planets with you and help do missions, beat people up, achieve objectives, that kind of thing? Or, like, are we supposed to take it that when you're adventuring, you've only got one person with you and all the others are either just cooling their heels on the ship or, like, off doing crew skill missions? Just random side missions. Busy job, busy work for you. Hey, could you make what would be an example? Just can you make 15 carbonic artifice bonded attachments for me, please? Just spend the whole evening doing it. I don't care that you've got special forces training or the ability to use the force, or you're a super scientist who can use super rare exotech from outside the galaxy. Just sit around making dye packs for me.
Puvata gal magurasa garuta, sa saguta maz magufo.
I know the Gormak use those cyber beasts, but I haven't run into any of their droids.
Musutongo, no gushle sugara ujura puta tunsa. Quando quat utsura molata trute fera hua. Just pluma loma huma, or malo monta gustala guaga.
There are other solutions than violence.
Uvumula fusa, hada aktar montak, balaf kunsek, uma chula sopus tulo qualtala lulo berufe.
I only discovered recently, I think over the weekend, that you could switch to other and it would show you the text of the conversations you just had with NPCs. I feel pretty foolish for not realizing this before, but it does make going back over conversations where you've missed bits because it's moved a little bit too fast much easier. So, just the one thing over here seems... Because I think we've got a pretty good range for detecting things. I mean, we've got this archaeology thing over here, which is way outside the the camp we're in at the moment. So if our detection range was going to pick up a quest, it would have done, I think. Oxybeast. I was approaching this from this side and I thought this was the head end, like the nose of the creature, and I was like, that's a weird creature. But no, it's the rear end of an Oxybeast. Oops. Wrong button. There we go. Is that what the life cycle on this planet looks like? Oxybeasts preyed on by Crisfangs and Voranticus. Either a pack of Crisfang or a single Voranticus. Unless, are these predatory? They could be herbivorous, just because they're enormous and not domesticated. They'd be aggressive. Or I suppose they could be omnivorous. Like, the body plan does not say carnivore to me as much as it does ape-like omnivore. Of course, I'm not a biologist. But then again, were the people that designed these creatures biologists? So would they know the rules to follow or break when it comes to how creatures look? I think I've talked about this before, where there are certain elements of appearance. I don't want to say design because it would make it sound as though I support the idea of intelligent design, but there are certain things in biology and in the way that animals look Of course it's got a corruption, which can tell you about what kind of role the animal has in its ecosystem. Like what kind of teeth it's got, what its eyes are like which way they face. If they're forward facing, it's a predator, because you need forward facing eyes if you're going to stalk prey, but if it's got side facing or kind of broadly not forward facing eyes, then it's probably a prey species, because it needs the eyes facing out and around so it can get a really wide view of the surroundings to look out for predators. And like how its body and musculature looks can inform how it hunts, how it moves, or well, not hunts, but like gets around, how it gets its food. Although not always. I mean, the giraffe people think has a long neck so it can get all of like food from higher up, but actually no. When you study a giraffe and its behaviour in the wild, it doesn't go for taller leaves. It actually eats leaves from the same height of foliage as like gazelles, zebra. Other herbivore species, what they actually do with their necks is combat. Giraffes use their long necks to whack, well, male giraffes in breeding rituals use their long necks to whack opposing giraffe males to drive them off. You can see videos of them whipping their heads around, catching one another with their weird stubby little antlers, horn nubs. And it's like, you have really not designed yourselves very efficiently. Now that's not unique, and that's not a unique observation to giraffes. Exhibit 1 in poor design for animals is pandas. After all. There are other poor design choices. So, studying the appearance, like the body plan of a creature, does not necessarily tell you what you need to know about how it lives. So ideally you would study the creature in its natural habitat, going about its natural business. No, forget about that crystal. Lakna Gormak Paragon is an elite, but she is in the same camp as Krukal Gormak Seer, who is a champion, which is more powerful than an elite. Alright, we'll ignore him. Just go after her. That's fine. You notice if we'd be able to beat her into submission and then talk to her, but I doubt that the game's going to let us do that, given that we didn't have the option to talk to her before the fight started, which is usually an indicator that we might be able to save them. Well, that's not always the case. In the Trooper story, for example, there's a bunch of people that you talk to and then fight, but they fight to the death, which is, in one instance, not remotely surprising or disappointing, but in another, well, I've only gone to 2 so far, but in another, it's kind of disappointing. I mean, he seems like kind of an asshole who isn't prepared to talk because he's
Stand by for examination and suggested products.
Too fixed in his worldview. But you do make a promise
Return to your post.
early on to someone as a trooper, going through the trooper storyline, that you'll bring in people alive, and so far the people that you've been hunting down as a trooper, you haven't been. Like, maybe other ones later on you will, but so far 2 of the previous members of Havoc Squad have not come quietly. One, Needles, who was the first that you find after Coruscant on Taris. He is experimenting and developing a weaponized version of the Rakghoul plague. A Rakghoul is basically the Star Wars version of a zombie, kind of. It's got chitinous plates, and we actually saw them when we were on Taris. But they used to be people, and if you get bitten or scratched, then you catch the Rakghoul plague, and almost universally you transform into a Rakghoul. And Needles, one of the previous members of Havoc Squad who defected to the Empire, has been deliberately turning this plague into something that can be used in warfare. So, of course, you kill him and then destroy... Well, you can choose to save samples of the Rakghoul plague that he develops, but I don't, because fuck that. I'm not going to be responsible for its use on other battlefields. That would be unconscionable. Anyway,
Lakna went easily. I made sure of it.
But yeah, bit of a shame that we couldn't bring Lakna in. But yeah, that appears to be it for Voss.
Welcome. Please select an available travel route.
I could get to my ship by pressing the map and doing this, clicking there, but that wouldn't actually progress the story, because what the game's asking me to do is go to my ship's airlock, presumably on the orbital platform, and if I just go straight to my ship, then I basically am skipping part of the story. I'm skipping the area in the world that triggers a story cutscene by my presence. It's a bit weird that I have to go through the Nightmare Lands to get back to Voss. Why can't I just hop straight up? Have I got to go down and round? Oh well, I don't go past I don't go past these, but I do have to come in through here. Desolation Pass with looks like some kind of technology plague with like pools of oil and tendrils with red glowy bits in them, which just scream bad news to me. Yeah, I could go straight to my ship, but that again, yeah, would skip triggering a cutscene, I think. This is probably going to be a scene where whatever his name is, the Voss guy, tells his entourage, no, look, I don't need you all. I'll be safe with them. Please don't all follow me on board the ship. You're going to crowd it.
Oh. Hello again, Jedi. I managed to get away from the embassy for a minute. Gaten Ko, congratulations. I knew you could do it. And now you're leaving?
I tried to save Dr. Carrion's people in the Nightmare Lands, but we were mostly too late.
Yes, that didn't quite go as planned. So I made other arrangements.
What? Ah.
My friend, Sophia?
It's all right, Gaten Ko. Your true destiny is just beginning. When the Jedi is dead, I'll explain everything.
I don't know why you think this is going to go better for you than it for any of the other Sith that I've encountered so far. But it's not. Could have been a bit more gentle with Gaten Ko, though. That was real weird. The game started playing probably the most recent cutscene I've had with Gaten Ko.
You're stronger than you look.
That's an understatement.
I understand now. You're one of the Emperor's children, like Blasis.
I bear that honor, yes. I intended the pilgrimage to truly test Gaten Ko. Power or death, hopefully yours. The first son will kill me for failing. But it doesn't matter. I've known the perfect enlightenment of serving the Emperor.
Come with me. Let me save you from him.
But who will save you? You don't know who the first son is. I'll share a little secret. Neither does he. You see, Jedi, some children never know their true nature. They sleepwalk through life until the Emperor wakes them. The first son serves the Emperor, then returns to normal, unaware. A politician? A soldier? Maybe one of your allies.
How can the first son commit such acts and not be aware of it?
The mind is malleable. We accept, we explain away.
I trusted. I am betrayed.
I'm sorry, Gaten Ko. I wanted to see you exalted, at the Emperor's right hand. But you chose the Republic. I can't save you.
I can, though.
We heard battle. The door was barred. Gaydon Co., Honored One, are you well?
I am well, thank you.
This woman needs to be taken into custody.
We have had no Sith prisoners. Her fate is sealed.
Throw her into the Dark Heart.
What's the penalty for endangering a mystic's safety?
She leaves Voskar. She takes the Step of Harmony, down from the mountain. Leaves Voskar forever.
Jenor say, throwing someone to their death is barbaric.
It is the law. She knew.
Yes, I did. Enjoy your moment of victory, Jedi. It will be fleeting.
Unlikely. My victories have not been fleeting thus far.
When all is done.
Also, anyone with any ability with the Force shouldn't die just because they're thrown off a long drop. I don't really see... That's something that's always bothered me about Mace Windu's death. Like, if you've got the Force, you should be able to slow your descent. Certainly it should be something that you learn, because this is a galaxy with very few safety rails. What am I doing? Gone the wrong place. I'm gonna go to my ship.
Masemele, Asoren Ben is minding sajana.
What he means is, on behalf of the Republic, we welcome you, and your very impressive entourage.
Thank you. I have 3 interpreters, 7 healers, 60 commandos.
We must use the Voss healers sparingly, but they could save thousands of lives.
Jik inter, mebeg drest pasiat dan ilbi, for cost in pain.
What about this first son, Jedi? Has anything new turned up?
Apparently the first son may be completely unaware of who he really is.
You mean anyone could be the first son and not know it?
Tis tele tel, erseri tedel hoge.
We must be vigilant. Around the men, anyway.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Master Seo's hosting a war council. He said you should join in right away.
Welcome, everyone. Supreme Chancellor, may I present our new allies.
I greet you, Gadenko and Hello Voice. The Empire threatens our core worlds, and your strength will be vital in the days ahead. The core worlds founded the Republic we defend. They are centers of government and commerce. Our society would crumble without them. Now an Imperial fleet is en route to one of these besieged worlds, Corellia, carrying thousands of reinforcements. That fleet must never arrive.
So, I have to assume that the 60 commandos who are with Gaden Co. and the hundreds of whatever species Hallow Voices are on different ships, because there's no way that they could all fit on my ship. There's no way that 60 commandos and healers, and however many healers it was, could fit on this ship.
We are at your command. We're ready to be of service, Supreme Chancellor.
The Imperial fleet is protected by a dreadnought, the Javelin. Without it, we could scatter them easily. A functional dreadnought would be a huge asset in defending the core worlds. I need you and your alliance to capture the Javelin.
I hope you have a plan in mind for this.
Your smaller force should help you to slip through the defenses, board the Javelin, and force the captain's surrender. Let us go. I leave this vital task in your capable hands. Good luck.
Jedi, you have a rational mind. You know trying to capture a dreadnought with the forces we have is utter insanity.
If the opportunity arises, I'm fully prepared to cheat my way to victory.
Ah, excellent.
To begin, our ships distract the Javelin. You board.
They're expecting an attack, but a defensive formation at a distance would keep them distracted.
That would keep our ships out of the fire, but capturing a dreadnought isn't like boarding a raft. We should go along. Me, Theron, Kaizen, everyone. We each take a few Voss commandos and our holocommunicator. You head for the bridge. We split up and get the other sections under control.
This mission will need all of us to stand any chance of success.
Excellent. If you have this in hand, I shall go. Corellia's defenders would benefit from my help. May the Force be with you all.
Here's a radical guess. What do you reckon that Seo Bakan is the first son? Oh yeah, that's a double-ended one. I wouldn't be able to wield that anyway, so... Not that I'm planning on wielding the visionary Force Lord's lightsaber. Blastex Savant Enzo Saber. Right, we've got lots of talking to do. Is that bound to me or... No, that's bound to me. Bound to legacy. It would specify legacy if I could transfer it to another character. So I can't use that, so off it goes. Don't have Hello Voice as a follower. They're just someone hanging out on the ship, I guess. Presumably in here. Isn't that where he was? Yeah, there we are. So I wonder where... Oh, there he is, Gaten Co. It's over there. I'm surprised I haven't done anything to help Shuru, Alani, or Diabduin. Really would have felt that that would have slowed the story down too much, but I'd have been happy to do stuff to help all of these guys. I don't think that's how Voss visions work, Shuru. Do you think those Voss would tell my fortune?
Best of luck capturing the Javelin, Jedi. I mean it.
Would wish you luck, but...
My own people. Can't even trust my own people.
Did something happen with your political supporters?
Those Balmoran refugees. I wanted to bring them home. Already arranged to meet them on Alderaan. Then I deciphered more of Greystar's journals. Found out why he didn't want me reading them. Journals report these refugees were in contact with local Imperial officials, negotiating for food, medicine, protection.
The refugees were alone and defenseless. They likely had no choice.
Not good enough! Imperials would have offered anything for intelligence about Balmora. How many refugees gave in? Gave information and got my people killed? Greystar let it happen. But he knew I'd retaliate, so he kept this from me.
So what happens now you know the truth?
They're collaborators. Collaborators die. Or live in a cell. Already arranged to meet the refugee leaders, to help them home. But now they'll be going in chains for conspiring with the enemy. I arrest the guilty. I prove my devotion to Balmora.
This is really tricky. I feel like both of us have good points. The refugees probably were just trying anything they could to survive, like in a corner, not really any options, and chose the one that would allow them to continue. But that meant giving information to the Empire, which led to people being killed. So very, very difficult to forgive.
You're Balmoran, just as they are. You must serve your people as you see fit.
All settled then. Need to get things organized for their arrest. Make sure soldiers are waiting for them. Excuse me.
But not a good feeling. Particularly for the refugees who were returning. Thought they'd be allowed to go home.
That's quite the fighting style you have. Looks like you sneaked a few combat manuals in amongst the history texts.
There is poetry and logic in battle.
I'm used to fighting in squads. Constant redeployments taught me to sync fast with whoever's at my shoulder. Now you know your tactics, but you're not afraid of your gut instinct either. I've tightened down my style to match. Might make the Imperials think twice the next time we're cornered. You're not gonna believe this. Remember Milo's talk about a glowing box and the lady doctor he was chasing? That lady doctor turns out to be real. She sent me a message.
Lieutenant Ereso, my name is Dr. Sarah Frey. I hear you've been looking for me. I've fled the Empire. Your search has put me in grave danger. But I imagine you won't be satisfied until you have answers. I am responsible for Milo Pelham's instability and your suffering. I could not refuse a Darth's orders.
Sounds like the Sith are involved in this.
The Sith Lord I once served, Darth Owsle, is a great scholar. He even advises the Dark Council. His speciality is ancient holocrons.
I thought it was a holocron.
What's a holocron?
A glowing box. Oh, there we go. I can even tell him.
Holocrons contain ancient knowledge. To the untrained eye, they match Milo's description.
The Dark Council trusted Darth Owsle to decipher a rare holocron for them, but Owsle saw a chance to keep its knowledge for himself. He wanted to copy the holocron into a person's mind.
That seems stupid and dangerous.
The matrix of a holocron is far too complex to be mapped onto a person's brain.
Darth Owsle requisitioned 2 prisoners from the Empire. You, Lieutenant Ereso, and your friend. The initial procedure was imperfect. Milo Pelham's mind simply collapsed under so much knowledge. But you were a great success.
A great success? She hid a Sith library in my head.
And you didn't go insane, which is impressive.
Dr. Frey must have sealed the holocron's data from your conscious mind somehow.
Any Sith would kill for that holocron's knowledge. But no one will know it's there unless you tell them. All I have said is the truth. Now, please remove my image from the Republic database. I won't be safe until then. Lieutenant Felix. That's your name, isn't it? I'm sorry.
She's asking me to keep her safe? At least she's got a blasted sense of humor.
I see. This is actually showing me alignment choices. But I'll leave it up to him, I think.
What happens now?
I need to think. Excuse me.
Fair.
I am functioning at peak efficiency, Master. All the better to serve you.
Splendid, C2. Thank you.
This must be torture for you, huh? A library of ancient knowledge in my head and no way to reach it without me going crazy.
Yes, it's infuriating.
The teachings of madmen, murderers, or cantankerous old ghosts have little appeal for me.
So nothing you're planning to rummage for. Good to know. I won't pretend I like this. It's a massive risk for both of us. But I've carried this data for years and never knew a thing. Besides, if anything does go wrong, I have your expertise on hand.
I'm always here if you need me.
I doubt Republic Command will have a change of heart if I report this. My career's still going nowhere. But, so what? You have a cause worth fighting for. I want to see it through.
What did he end up doing about the picture? I have no idea.
Things are quiet back home for now, so I'm gonna focus on my Padawan studies. I read the text the Council sent me, but I still don't understand what a Padawan does.
Starts by doing chores.
A Padawan hones her combat and meditation skills, exercises temperance, and is open to the knowledge of all cultures.
So, what should I learn first, Master?
A Jedi is always patient. The results of your actions may be years, even decades away. And you must be willing to wait.
I try, but it's like lighting a fuse. I'm just putting off the bang till later. Maybe I should study something else.
I can recommend a text.
Remember the tenets of our order. There is no emotion, there is peace. There is no ignorance, there is knowledge. There is no passion, there is serenity. There is no chaos, there is harmony. There is no death, there is the Force.
I should write this down. Thank you. I don't mean to be so slow. Everything is so new.
Your abilities are already exceptional. You just need some theory and practice.
I want to be a good Padawan. Whatever you can teach me, I want to learn. Oh, good. I hoped you'd have some time. I've been trying to study, but Dr. Cedric keeps coming to talk to me. He's offering to give me an astronomy lesson. You've known Dr. Cedric longer than I have. How can I tell him no? Nicely.
Knock some sense into him. Tell Holiday. Problem solved. Remind him you're a Jedi.
If Theron's bothering you, Holiday's the best person to put a stop to it.
For a hologram, she's good at keeping Theron in line. I need to know her secret. Thanks for the advice. I'll get caught up on my training. Don't worry.
Theron, stop bothering my Padawan.
What? Oh, please excuse me, Jedi. The last pieces of the Van Drake generator must have a precise exposure to the ship's engine core. I'll be right back.
Jedi, could I please talk to you for a minute? It's about Theron.
Don't be upset. Just say what's on your mind.
You're so kind. Theron's been working so hard for the symposium. It's all he talks about. It's just so rare for him to get a real challenge. I don't think he's handling it very well. Please, he listens to you. Is there anything you can do?
No, and stop being selfish. It's fucking weird and unpleasant and uncomfortable that Holiday is being written as though nothing is more important to her than Theron. Which is not good writing.
Having his genius tested will teach Theron more than years of success.
I hope that's true. You're a good friend to us, Jedi. Both me and my sweet Theron.
Holiday, Did Theron reprogram you to fall in love with him, or is it your choice?
Well, what makes real people like you fall in love, hmm?
It's different for you. Your personality can be reprogrammed, mine can't.
I use software to feel, but feelings are more than that. Like your feelings are more than reacting chemicals. I love Theron, so does it matter where that feeling came from? Nope. Not one bit.
It kind of
Just in
does.
time. A moment longer and the irradiation would have gone too far.
If he forced it
Theron,
on you.
honey, why don't you take a break? With me.
No. Too much to do. Sorry, Jedi. I'll speak to you another time.
If Theron forced the love on her, then it kind of fucking does matter. Like, rewriting a person so that they are affectionate towards you, that's pretty unethical.
My work is finally complete. The Vandrake generator. Dare I say, a masterpiece among masterpieces.
Theron, I'm so proud of you. I think I'm gonna cry.
You've made scientific history today.
But it won't do any good sitting on the ship like a paperweight. The Luminatis Club Symposium only runs for a day. I must secure the generator for transport. Its core needs to be perfectly shielded. The core is very sensitive to nearby electronic systems, you see. Its processes could...
Are you doing all right?
Jedi, I am a complete idiot. The core of my Vandrake generator could have an application that I never considered. For Holiday. If I linked that core to Holiday's central processor, it could increase her sentience by a factor of 10 or more.
How would Holiday change if you gave her this core?
She'd be able to transcend most of her remaining technical limitations. Her slicing capability could increase, her personality would evolve. But if I remove the core, my Vandrake generator is useless. I won't have a hope of winning the symposium.
This is your future we're discussing. You deserve a say.
But Theron's upset. I just want him to be happy.
There's no time to decide. The symposium's starting soon. The entire Luminatis Club is expecting me. I have to attend. I'll be back soon. It appears I have secured my place in scientific history. As a laughingstock. There I stood at the podium, my fellow scientists hanging on my every word. I had only to turn on the Vandrake generator, but I couldn't do it. I saw Holiday, and I couldn't. When I tried to explain, I was booed off the stage.
You're a better scientist than all of them put together.
Such a gracious sentiment. Thank you. Now, Holiday, I think the core is ready. We can begin the installation.
Theron, I'm scared. What if it changes me? What if I don't love you anymore?
Holiday, I am a fool dancing in your shadow. But whether you favor me or not, I will always belong to you.
Maybe you should fucking behave like it then.
Install it now, before I change my mind. Stacks 2 and 3 reinitializing. Transfer. Transfer.
Can you hear me? Is everything all right?
Holiday, please speak to me.
Oh my, how embarrassing. That core is potent stuff.
Has the core made any difference yet?
I've got more space. Like there's huge empty rooms waiting to fill up. It's exciting.
It'll take time for the change to fully propagate. Holiday's systems are very complex. But in the end, her personality and sentience will increase. Exponentially. I hope we'll be able to keep up.
Splendid. I do feel a little sorry for Theron not being able to show off at his symposium, but I think this is the better end point. Especially because he chose it.
You wanted to talk, Kaizen?
Now
Not if you keep calling me a soft thing. I remember what that means, you know. Huh. Kaizen says you're a herald. You look like a Jedi to me.
Mako is the bounty hunter companion for the Empire side bounty hunter class. She's the first companion you get. I was not expecting to see her here.
According to Kaizen, I'm the scorekeeper's herald. It's a long story.
As nicknames go, I'd look for something a little snappier. Hunt, hunt, hunt. You know, if you hunted crooks instead of animals, you'd be a household name. Okay, I got a Veneb Drosk, Trandoshan, former bounty hunter, retired. That him?
Going from hunting for money to selling information is a small step. He may be the man we want.
After he retired, this Veneb became some big shot Trandoshan clan leader. Just suddenly shot up the ranks. Oh, shot up the ranks after a lot of his rivals went missing, usually on hunts. Interesting, huh?
Yeah, that doesn't sound remotely surprising.
Veneb identified Trandoshans going through Shikoyagu, ones who challenged his power and told Gwora who to kill.
That's all I got on this Veneb, but it should be enough for you two to find him. So Kaizen, we're square on this, right? No more favor is owed?
What do you think? This is your friend and your favor.
Hey now, don't go soft on me. I like you fine as you are. See you around, Kaizen. Take care of yourself and your herald.
Are we going to Trandosha? At least I assume that's what the planet is called.
Why is being a clan speaker so important? If the scorekeeper sees Veneb's heart, then she must also see yours. She understands you can't let him escape judgment.
Yeah, sounds tricky. Difficult position you're in, Kaizen. Maybe you should go through the right to become speaker. How about that for an idea? Oh yeah. Travel to the Javelin. Or Javel to the Travelin. An Imperial dreadnought of astonishing power, the Javelin is on a direct course for Corellia, escorting a large number of troop carriers. The Javelin is armed with several heavy turbo laser batteries and is capable of devastating a planet from orbit. Sounds like a big deal. We're gonna trash it. Well, we're gonna steal it. I'm surprised they haven't opened fire. Maybe they do not know we are here. We have sneaked. Yeah, I've got stuff to get rid of, haven't I? Well, a lightsaber, anyway.
Stand by for examination and suggested products.
There we are.
You are fit for duty. Return to your post.
How long's this got left? 20 minutes. Wonder how long this will take. Not sure. I mean, there aren't any other places to interact with, are there? What's up with him?
We're in the network room. Breaking Imperial coding makes me all tingly.
Zenith sneaked off to security. I imagine he knows what to do with an Imperial security system. Ta-ta for now.
Splendid. I'm surprised they didn't open this, because, like, it goes around. Could have just come in through here. I wonder why I need a security droid, not a security, a medical droid here and another one here. That seems unnecessary.
Hold on, Jedi. Security system's being stubborn. Done. I'll watch for any more. Zenith out.
Splendid. Maybe if I was going in alone, I'd have to go around this way. Don't know what I'd do here, though. Maybe stab the console with a lightsaber. That usually seems to drone override. Sure, that'll be useful. Oh, this is interesting. This is the first place that you encounter this setup as a Jedi consular. You actually encounter something like that as a trooper way earlier on. After Taris. So it's a trap. It's a laser field, and if you step through it, I think you get set on fire. I think that, yeah, burst of fire. Oops. Shoots out from both sides, but not if you turn it off. Alright, missile torpedo launch bays. So where are the... There's one here ready to go, but where are the others? Do they come in from above or something? Yes. There's one there, but none here. I wonder why. Oh well.
Armory is secure, but they locked the door to weapons control. We're cutting through. Not to jinx it, but I expected stronger resistance than this. Might be a harder fight up ahead. Oreso out.
Probably going to be a Sith somewhere at some point. That's weird. I wonder why it would have it as something I can interact with if it's not going to do anything. When do I use this? Overrides and detonates the weapons system on the Imperial attack drones. Used in quality control to quickly dispose of malfunctioning units. Ah, so one of these. Can use that on one of them. Assuming Kazan does the other one first, apparently. I wonder what it would do. Would it... Oh, here we are. So what... So it was something that we needed... Oh, we're not allowed through there. Okay. Something that we needed anyway to be able to progress. That we were always going to pick up regardless of situation, apparently, so that we could blow the door open. Although quite why we couldn't manage that with a lightsaber, I don't know. You can't blow doors open with a lightsaber. You can open them pretty easily with lightsabers. Bridge. Apparently. So I wonder whether these will open later. I imagine so.
Ah, greetings, Master Jedi. All parameters are met. My work can finally be demonstrated.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Obeying my standard orders, I've seeded this vessel with detonite charges. These charges are sufficient to destroy the Javelin, its occupants, and nearby vessels. I apologize for any inconvenience caused.
Disable those charges, or I'll break you down to your components.
All interfering remote safeties have been removed. I have placed multiple detonite charges in mathematically precise positions. All Imperial vessels have been signaled to withdraw, as the countdown has begun. By my calculations, even if dozens of the charges are disarmed, it is now impossible to prevent the Javelin's destruction.
But if we disable as many as we can, there won't be enough of a blast to destroy our ships.
You may attempt it, but my placement of the charges is flawless. There are charges on all main coolant regulation systems to ensure complete destruction.
You and I can take care of the charges nearby, and trust the others to reach the rest in time.
A shame my accomplishment will soon be superheated vapor, but such is the nature of demolition work. Good day.
Why would they waste why would they waste the Javelin on this? I mean, I guess it's taking out a fleet, but it still seems costly. This is supposed to be an enormous, very powerful ship. Why can't I see stars out there? Weird. I note that we don't have a timer, so obviously the countdown is pretty long. I wonder if we'll still see people on board. Or we've got droids. Did they evacuate everyone? Surely the Empire isn't that bloodthirsty. No, they are. They're definitely evil and bloodthirsty enough to order any number of ordinary Imperial soldiers to stay on the ship just to make sure that it looks like a convincing trap. Looks convincing enough to remain a trap, to be an effective trap. Hopefully these aren't difficult to do. Deactivate.
Jedi, we reached the starboard cooling tanks. That droid wasn't lying, they're plastered with bombs. I've told the others how to disable them safely, but it's a fiddly process. This will be a close-run thing.
Good. Well, I'm saying it, well, two reasons I'm saying good. Good, it seems as though everyone can manage, and also that we're not given the choice of telling people to leave. Or like, make up your mind, stay and help, or leave and survive, and definitely survive. Well, I mean, I suppose, would you definitely survive? Maybe not. Actually, given that if the bombs go off, the ship that you escape from the Javelin onto might still be destroyed anyway. Why is this friendly? Ah, right. I know what I need to do. Call a droid. Wait for it to fly through this. Whenever it will do that. And then blow it up when it's flying through. Here we are. No? Oh, too early. Damn. Alright. I did think it was weird that the first one we saw flew through this energy conduit. Haha. goes through here? Other than a lift. Presumably we'll need to go through there once we're done on this level.
Report your ailments. You are fit for duty. Return to your post.
That's where we'll refresh those. Oh, this is where we came from. Right, nice. I thought this would be unlocked now. There we go. Probably be easier to disarm the bomb.
Jedi, we've done our utmost, but we just found another stockpile of those bombs, and the timer's counting down. There's simply too many. Either we pull back now or we don't get out at all. I'm sorry. I think the Javelin is lost.
Oh, well, I mean, we knew that was going to happen. But this at least means that the Javelin won't take out the fleet that we brought with us as it goes down. But, yeah, unfortunately, we can't take the Javelin. I do like the Imperial alarm sound. It's very, very...
Warning. Coolant regulation system ignited. Catastrophic structural integrity failure has begun. Destruction of the Javelin is imminent. Please evacuate immediately. Repeat. Please evacuate immediately.
Jedi, do you read? We're clearing the tactical stations and everything's flashing red. What's the situation?
You and the commandos have to get to the ship immediately.
All right, you heard her. Go. No, wait. Call us now. Take point. I can't leave yet. The Imperial crewmen were trying to erase these tactical stations. They might be carrying battle plans. I need to do a full download.
Felix, in a few minutes the Javelin is going to be drifting debris.
Sorry. I can't turn my back on vital intelligence. Blast! This will take longer than I thought. I won't be able to join you. The pods. I saw a rank of escape pods on this deck. I can make it down to Corellia's surface.
Then do it. Stay hidden. We'll come for you.
Copy. Now take care of yourself. Be safe, and we'll rendezvous on Corellia. Lorenzo, signing off.
Why would the doors blow out if parts of the ship are blowing up? Surely the doors would be important to make sure they don't blow out? Whilst the ship is undergoing damage, so as that compartments remain pressurized. Let's sell some junk first.
Stand by for examination and suggested products.
It's alright, I know the ship's not going anywhere just yet. But we'll need to go and pick up Iresso.
Toria, hafna farjet, bien furk dan mitof, makopiet ni chorma, gurm geinacht.
If we want Felix back, we can't stand here talking.
Estavo lab meg minnig uge. Oze desazos homaleban.
We think the pod was caught in an automated landing system for Coronet City's shipyards. So it's probably there. Somewhere.
To Corellia. To search. And to war.
Just so you know, I may not be available for training for a while. And issues come up back home. It's a real puzzle.
If a challenge has been placed before you, use the opportunity to grow.
See, a guild back home is building a new spaceport. They want me to petition the Senate for Republic help. Trouble is, the guild wants to demolish the Annex of Kespin and build the new spaceport on that site. The Annex is our oldest ruin. To be honest, it's collapsing and sort of dangerous. But it's sacred.
Is this annex some sort of temple?
It commemorates Gavail Kespin. He died defending the capital during the Wanderer siege. Clearing another site would take months. The forests around the capital are just too dangerous. We need that spaceport, but the annex is so old. What would you do?
Spend the credits on renovating those ruins. You'll preserve your heritage and attract Republic scholars.
No ignorance, only knowledge. All right, I'll spread knowledge. Phew, I feel better now. Thanks for talking this over with me.
Yeah, I've got no patience for people that want to destroy ancient sites of significant historical significance for industry and experience sake. Fuck that. Take the time, spend the money. Don't destroy the history.
A minute? You know that stone I've been practicing my levitation on? I sort of exploded it.
Are you doing all right?
Oh no, I'm fine. Not a scratch. The funny thing is, I managed to hold the stone bits together for a minute or two before it went everywhere. So, progress. Anyway, if you're wondering about the dust in the Axis corridor, that's why.
It's a weird thing to update me on, but okay. That's fine. Don't worry about it. Corellia. Okay. Oh, no, that's Ilum. Got another thing on Corellia. Let's go to the Republic fleet first, because that's where we can pick up something else to do on Corellia. Because there's an SIS person. I noticed them when I reached level 50, I think. Picked up a mission. Yeah, there we are. But then realised it was asking me to go to Corellia. What's this want me to do?
Breaking news from the core. Despite a stunning victory over the Empire, Republic forces continue to face violence and unrest on Corellia. Of particular concern to Republic authorities is the Black Hole region, where most of the planet's hypermatter processing facilities and warehouses are located. Though most of the black hole is occupied by criminals and mercenaries, Imperial forces remaining on the planet are also attempting to claim its resources.
Okay, so I should probably do that after the other stuff in Corellia. So, not yet, because that's talking as though we've already fought on Corellia, which hasn't happened yet. Oh, that's an... Story arc Ilum. Alright, maybe I'm wrong. It does happen. I thought the purple triangle over the Twi'lek there was Corellia story, but I was mistaken. And I remembered that there was something to do with an SIS member and Corellia, but I didn't remember that it was talking about the fight having already, or a bunch of fighting or having already happened. That hasn't. That's beyond where we are and where we're supposed to be in the story. Although, in fairness, this hasn't been a terribly long detour, so it's fine. Worth knowing. And I want to get this in as much in order as I can. One of the founding worlds of the Galactic Republic, Corellia nonetheless prides itself on its independence. Some of the finest starships in the galaxy are made on Corellia, along with their daring pilots, men and women looking to explore, to trade, or just stay ahead of the law. The cities, like the people, are distinctly Corellian, incorporating the natural landscape into their design despite a heavy manufacturing base. Nice. The Corellian government recently agreed to turn over power to the Sith Empire. This has resulted in riots in the streets and open revolution despite Imperial claims of legitimacy, and the capital of Coronet City has become a battlefield. Yeah, that doesn't sound like such a great idea. If the government does not serve the interests of its people...
I never thought the Imperials would make it this far. Not to the core worlds, not Corellia. Master Seo's briefings on the Corellian situation are grim. Treachery, Imperials invading, a resistance under fire. I saw it all back home.
Yeah, the Corellian government, if the Corellian government isn't serving the interests and desires of its people, then it's not legitimate, and they should be deposed.
Did someone on Corellia betray us?
Apparently the Empire made Corellia's backstabbing government an offer. There is good news. Master Seo completed work on the Guardian Holds before the invasion began.
What are these Guardian Holds?
Ah, of course. Master Seo only just passed on this briefing. The Guardian Holds are buildings across Coronet City, Corellia's capital. Factories, bunkers, munition stores, everything you'd need to conquer a city. Master Seo's fortified each of those buildings with special defenses, and codenamed them Guardian Holds. The Guardian Holds mean we have several impenetrable fortresses, from which we can always retake Coronet City, even if it falls to the Empire.
With those Guardian Holds and our military assets protected, we can concentrate on offense.
That's the idea. Defending the Guardian Holds does make the Republic a little short-handed, though, which is where our armies come in.
Have someone else look. I need to focus on leading our forces.
Information recovered from Dreadnought is critical. We coordinate. You are best to search.
Yo kantabata chawa wer mo. Kilimawa ota.
Repeat, this is Captain Trizan, calling any defenders near the Coronet shipyards. The Imperials overran Zone 12, calling for emergency assistance.
We could search the shipyards while we defend them. Tell Captain Dryzan we're on our way.
Hotza kwe tugi.
TIEs droids, Eshka, commandos, we land all.
Now we find out if they're enough to save the Republic.
Hopefully the defenders don't attack the Eshka on sight. What's this one? Makeb, Oricon, Shadow of Revan, Fallen Empire, Fractured Alliances, Ossus. Alright, no, nothing for me now. I assume that's descend to the planet. This collection of crystals. This follows the same format as pretty much every other spaceport that I've visited. Although there's more retailers here, and not the type that you would expect to find in a port like this. These are all trainers. Leveled up enough to get these things. Cool. I'll go and I'll learn those later, off stream.
Hey, glad I caught you. The Republic needs a Jedi now more than ever.
I'm a Jedi.
Corellia's under Imperial control. Every squad, soldier, and CO in the galaxy is fighting to get her back. We thought the Empire had taken the planet by force. Turns out, they had the Corellian Council's blessing.
I can't see the average Corellian agreeing to that.
The people of Corellia made the first strikes against the Empire. Unfortunately, they didn't do much damage. The Empire's taken over factories, shipyards, even local transport. The transport blockades become the most urgent problem. The Republic's got allies all over Corellia. But without access to the rocket tram system, most of the Republic army is stuck here.
Where do these rocket trams run?
The suspended tracks all around Coronet City. It's the only way to reach some areas, and troop deployment's crippled without it. Corellia is a core world, a major industrial hub, and one of the founding members of the Republic. If we fall here, it might be for good. General Aves knows more about the trans system situation. He wants to see anyone willing to help.
If it means victory over the Empire, I'm more than willing.
Some of the Imperials here answer directly to the Emperor. You might be needed everywhere. General Aves has a command bunker here in the spaceport. I'll tell him to expect you.
So we're going to be mostly adventuring in Coronet City then. Thanks a lot.
Piti do tenyago kakajujo, da biska ku paliya. Chikos pa inikudad ijigliska chanagawa. O bagthra wanawaga mi bunawa duetwipe.
I don't like where this is going.
Kuchusa yomata chitoya, asubwi mota uipa. Pampawula ji ota kakoga huta nupisto. Se gota do muti kihasa da puño. Liz di woto.
I'd like to help, any way I can.
Chaskruni do pat kurira, do kanki kung. Piti do tenyago kakajujo, da biska ku paliya. Umpa hupa, jikilia umpasa do biska.
Shipping around UED. Nice. Oh right, yeah. He did say that the command had set up a place inside the port, didn't he? I thought that just meant close by, like there would be more spaceport outside this actual building, but no, it means inside the building of the spaceport. One of the hangars has been converted, presumably. Inside the room. The flight deck, I think that's called a flight deck? The place where they control the flights coming in and out.
General Aves, I was told you could use some help.
Master Jedi, I know the Order's stretched thin, but the Empire's not going to give up easy. Corporal Hartke explained we've lost access to the rocket trams, but he wasn't clear to know why. The Empire's gotten their hands on some modified neutron emitters. They're using them to wipe out anyone on board the trams.
Are the Imperials attacking Corellian passengers too?
Unfortunately, yes. But it hasn't stopped them from trying to escape to the more war-torn areas. The Republic has allies all over Corellia, but they're no help if we can't reach them. We've got to find those neutron emitters. We've received word that Corsac may have intel on the neutron emitter's location. They've carved out a safe haven in the red light sector.
What does Corsac stand for?
Corellian Security Force. Local law enforcement and our primary allies against the Empire. Without trams, the only way to reach the red light sector is on foot, and Imperial shock troops control what's in between. If you attack the Empire's supply camps, the shock troops will be distracted. My escort will move to meet up with Corsac as fast as we can.
Many troops will go to the supply camps, but others might not.
Don't worry about us. My men know this is no walk in the park. Once you reach the red light sector, meet me in the Gilded Descent. It's an old casino turned Corsac fortress. I'll let Corsac know we're coming. We'll be right behind you.
Why is this? Oh, there we go. Why is this hanging around? Go away. I don't need the constant presence of this thing telling me that Corellia is controlled by Rapid Serenity. I wonder if it'd still be there if I relogged. It's nice that they give you these little updates as you log in, but load times are a bit too short to... Oh, for fuck's sake, it's back... Oh no, good. Load times are a bit too quick to... hold on, there's a heroic. To read fully. Oh right, no, that's all the heroics, isn't it? Never mind then. Let's continue. Let's grab the UEDs. I can find some. There we are. This has got a timer. That's interesting. I'm carrying 2 live Imperial warheads. Soon to be 3. Where's the disposal point? Here. Well, that's easy enough. I'll just bet that mounting up will be one of the things you're not really supposed to do whilst you're carrying warheads, so I don't think that I'll risk it. It's also thematically just a sensible sort of thing, you know? So... Is that all of them? Seems like it. Just put all 3 warheads in the same disposal canister.
I've taken care of things.
Wo grani tampio da pushi wompa, pu tula musta. Jaskruni do pat kurira, do kanki kung.
Okay, thank you. Where's the red light district? You're a strange beastie. Not seen anything like you before. Quill. Very furry looking creature.
Captain Dryzan, I believe my allies sent a message. I need your help to find an escape pod.
Huh? I thought that was a hoax. Quill, look, we really did get a Jedi Master. This is Quill. She and the other Solonians are helping us fight the Imperials. Your escape pod's somewhere in a hot zone.
Can you explain what happened?
The Empire bombed the shipyards and spaceport, then sent troops in. Now we can't even risk quick scouting missions. There are Imperial droids on patrol. When we leave, they follow us back to our bases and go on a killing spree. We're stuck. Your pod's important, but I can't send anyone after it, not if those droids will track them.
They can't track anything with a lightsaber in their circuitry. Your scouts might still be vulnerable.
Okay, you clear the droids, we'll find that pod. We should have something by the time you get back.
Cool. Let's smash the Imperial camps. Shouldn't be too difficult, as long as they're not interior spaces. Well, seems like someone else has got here first. That's a bit inconvenient. Go back and see whether the eastern one is refreshed. It has. Splendid. Going to fight away in there. That's fine. Forces here seem weaker. Bit odd, but okay, I'm not going to complain. This other one. Neutrino emitters used on the rocket trains sounds like they're irradiating the trains, so that the people on board are basically going through all the stages of radiation sickness very, very quickly, killing them pretty horribly. That's got to be a war crime, hasn't it? But then being a war crime doesn't stop the... something being a war crime doesn't stop the Empire from using it, does it? Because they are almost cartoonishly bad guys, aren't they? Oh, there's more. Okay. Disable sensor arrays. The watchman didn't notice me. Probably will now, though. You fuckers. Are you waiting for me to... distract the guards so you could get in? Very poor MMO player etiquette there. There's another one out there. Let's go and get that. We wait for the suppliers to respawn. What would you do if you'd chosen Areso as your regular companion at this point? Be a bit awkward that he's stuck around. Didn't take that long. That's good. Not sure I'm going to find another sensor array though. Oh, I need to stand still whilst it goes off. Or it doesn't count as having been blown up, you see. No, still. Oh, there we go. That's handy. Final stage. Splendid. Destroy Imperial Turbo Laser. That sounds like a bad thing to have hanging out. Okay, it's over here. In the city of Corellia. So, well, it's anti-aircraft. Well, it's gone now. Imperial codes from Imperial Forward Cannoneer. got the codes. Report to General Aves. Turn in the Imperial artillery codes. Where do I do that? Oh, I go here. Okay, to do all of that. I don't actually need to return to General Aves. Oh, did he say he was going to meet me there? I do not remember. You've successfully covered General Aves' escape from the spaceport, presumably. Meet him in the Corsair command room at the Gilded Descent Casino in the Blastfield shipyards. Let's help these guys against Imperial scouts, shall we? Seems like a good idea. This looks a bit busted, doesn't it? Using a casino table as a barricade. Well, it's built pretty solidly. Not a bad choice. What's that for? Trooper phase? Not surprised. Oh, group phase. Everyone can go in there. Smuggler phase is over there. I expect there's a night phase around somewhere. Oh, maybe not. Okay. Well, anyway, I think I'm actually going to wait until next time to hand these in, because presumably they're going to lead to more stories. Although that handing is there. Probably just it's just a box. Okay, let's do that. But the other stuff, report to the general. Do I need to do it in two places? I mean, there is that. Seems as though there's a way out into this area from the Gilded Descent, though. Okay. So I think I'm going to hand this in next time, because presumably it will lead to more story almost immediately, and I would rather have more story, like begin the next parts of the story next time rather than start them now, leave it 2 days basically, and then come back, because I'm going to struggle to remember, and as such I don't want other people to struggle to remember as well. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the show. You can find this recording and everything else that I've done on my YouTube, Vanilla Jester Gaming. You can also find me on Twitter at Vanilla Jester. I hope you have enjoyed. I said that already. Well, even if I have, I hope you've enjoyed twice as much. And I hope to see you again, whether that happens to be on Wednesday or not. Now, I don't know whether I'm going to be back on Wednesday. I might not. I might not be feeling great. We'll have to see how we go. But the plan is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 PM GMT. I know that I started late today, but I did start, so there's that. So until the next time that I see you, whenever that happens to be, for whatever reason it is then, I hope you have as good a time as you can. And I do hope to see you again. and goodbye.